Welcome to One in the Trenches podcast. My name is Johnny Jones. This is Patches Kaplan. We're here to break down week one and talk couple of the big matchups in week two. Where do you want to start, Patch?
Johnny, I think we got to start by getting talking about kind of the elephant in the room.
What's
Does
that?
Clemson stink?
Hey, I think I nailed it on the pod last week. Their
Absolutely.
defense top tier. Like their defense can hang with like for that first half. They played it was like 6-0 at the half. You know, they're freaking 11 hats to the ball attacking, but dude, they just couldn't get anything going offensively.
No, and I think the question has to be asked eventually, like, is it Cade Klubnik that's just absolutely terrible? Is it Dabo? I know it's very well established they have no outside talent, and they haven't for about 4 years. That's been the downside of them, is that they have no outside talent. But at the end of the day, there was just bad play calling.
Yeah.
I thought that sustainable drives, when you know your offense can't score worth diddly squat, sustained drives is so important to give your defense rest and allow them to get a turnover, allow them to get field position, because it's so much easier. And you and I remember it probably just as good as anyone. I don't know if you remember, Johnny, the stats when you start within your own 15 of scoring a touchdown.
Yeah.
It's like 1 out of 20
No,
drives.
it's brutal.
So when you are such a bad offense like Clemson right now, getting the ball on our own 40 or the own 35 or 38 makes such a difference. And they just couldn't win the field position battle. I thought their offense laid an absolute egg. I thought they were a very, very soft team. I thought that while you nailed it, at the same time, I thought, they've prepped for this game for 8 months now.
Yeah.
It's very easy to come out and play 35 plays in a row that will work.
Yeah.
When you have all year to prepare, and then when, the crap actually hits the fan, it's a whole different story.
Yeah, and I also don't want to downplay Georgia. They look good, especially offensively. Like, they struggled in the first half, but they figured it out against a good defense. Carson Beck was just super efficient. They've got athletes all over the field. They look good.
They did. It's tough. Week one does that like little mind trick where you start asking yourself, are these teams legit? And like, yes, a lot of them are playing FCS opponents or very low FBS teams in the MAC and, the AAC and whatnot, some low-end teams. But like, Iowa drops 40, caught me off guard. Granted, it was like a 3-0 game after the first, but they turned it up. I take the first quarter on week one with a grain of salt because it's one of those things. Everyone's nervous. You might have a new quarterback out there, a new center, a new tackle, new wide receiver. So, I take that one. I kind of let it go, but I was kind of impressed by Iowa. I think that they have a big matchup this week against Iowa State. That's going to be a really fun one. But jumping on to your Nittany Lions, Penn State WVU, very close game in the first half.
Dude, sprinkle Drew Alla for Heisman.
Oof. With the stats that were thrown up in week one, it's going to be he's got to go undefeated to be.
No, I'm joking. I loved his play though. The biggest criticism last year was just his ability to push the ball downfield, and I think Andy Koltanicki, the new offensive coordinator, did a great job of just taking shots and kind of early and often. They've got a great run game, great offensive line. They've got 2 stud running backs, which that's always going to be there. But what we didn't see last year was Alla push the ball downfield, and we really didn't see anyone on the outside really step up and make plays last year. And Trey Wallace looked phenomenal. And then I don't want to take anything away from the defense because Garrett Green's a good quarterback for West Virginia, and they smothered him. And West Virginia,
tough environment to play in.
It was rowdy, and West Virginia plays their best ball when they get Green moving out in space, and he couldn't get there. Tom Allen's defense really took that away from him.
Yeah, I thought they played really, really well. I think that they have kind of a not an easy road, but a very mediocre average road to the Big Ten playoff. With no offense to you or nothing, if Oregon does anything what they did last week against Idaho, I think that Penn State might be in the running for the conference championship.
Oh yeah, no, Oregon didn't look great, and I'll be the first one.
Their stats looked good, which was weird.
It's crazy. Like
400 yards passing. I was like, that is a little bit bizarre with how close of a game it seemed like.
It was just kind of weird because even the defense played pretty well. Like I think Idaho's 2 touchdowns or 2 trick plays they kind of got caught sleeping on. Besides that, they held them, and then a highly efficient offense last year under Bo Nix, and we're hoping to see the same thing on Dylan Gabriel. But he threw for all the yards in the world, but then penalties, a couple turnovers, just kind of too sloppy, which is typical week one stuff, but still, you'd like to
correctable stuff,
more.
Which is the
correctable stuff.
It's not like they were having sack issues. It's not like they were having third down issues, which are also correctable, but the penalties is the big one. And I blame a lot of the nerves. And going with penalties, Notre Dame versus A&M, Notre Dame had like 9 penalties for like 138 yards. When is the last time you remember Notre Dame, the Irish, ever getting penalized like that?
I do want to
all starts, offsides. There's 5 offsides calls?
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. Like, I didn't know what was I out on the field? Like,
no. I mean? Like, they were sloppy, but, at the end of the day, they went into a very hostile environment. Riley Leonard looked great. I think you're right. We were talking throughout the whole game about, like, their play calling was, I think, iffy at times. But, they got the win at Kyle Field against what might be a good Texas A&M team down the stretch, especially, I think they're going to win more games than people think they will. But are
you buying stock in or drinking the Kool-Aid more for USC or Miami?
Oh, USC. Dude, I think so. Miller Moss looked really
right. I said Miami.
No, I know USC.
All right.
Miller Moss. Well, okay, this is tough because
this is tough.
Okay, this is why it's tough. I think USC is a better team. I think Miller Moss looked efficient, and I think their defense did enough against LSU for me to be optimistic because last year if they win that game, it's probably like 52-45. But this year they held LSU to 20 points. They figured out how to win the fourth quarter, which I think was really important, especially for a young quarterback. But Miller Moss looked really good. The thing why I think it's probably smarter to buy stock in Miami is they did look good. I don't know if they look good if Florida's just really bad, but the ACC is looking awful right now. And I think it's theirs to lose. Like, even Virginia Tech didn't look that good. Clemson was abysmal. Florida State's a dumpster fire right now.
Yeah. They couldn't get rid of DJ if they tried right now.
No, if Mario Cristobal, this is his chance. He's got to win the ACC this year, right?
Yes, he has to. Like you said, the ACC is really bad. NC State played terrible, but I think that's a week 1 jitters. We'll see really what their test is when we talk about them versus Tennessee in a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. The whole time, and I think I even texted you, the whole time in the first quarter, all USC, LSU, all the announcers kept talking about is how much heavier USC is. Yeah. And I'm not a huge proponent of general weight gain. I think that a lot of times these players get so fast, so twitchy, so agile because they are so nimble and have so little body fat that when they go and gain weight, you get, these outside linebackers who are borderline DNs, but because they're so thin and trim, they're now linebackers that are now putting their hand in their dirt. They've never done it before. But with that being said, I could have been more stand corrected. Yeah. I was blown away by their physicality, their aggressiveness, this might sound crazy. They played as if they were a Big Ten team. They didn't play like their pansy little Pac-12 ball last year where they were hoping to go 6 plays, 86 yards and a touchdown. It was gritty. It was tough nose. My tail is tucked between my legs with USC. I'm embarrassed with what I thought about them. I have been trashing Lincoln Riley. I owe him an apology. They came out ready to go. I'm not saying that they're a contender, but I'm also not saying that they couldn't ruin Notre Dame's playoff hopes last game of the year. I'm also not saying that they couldn't be the 3rd team in the playoff this year.
I agree with everything you're saying, except for how hard you are on yourself right now, because you took a judgment call based on what USC showed us. Like last year, they have Caleb Williams, and they just couldn't figure it out on defense well enough. So, you can only judge.
I didn't think they did great in the transfer portal, too. So that's why I was very, very impressed by what they were able to turn their team into. So, I was really excited about that because I do think that beefs up the Big Ten even more. So when Penn State plays teams, I don't think they play Penn State this year. But
no, I don't think
when Penn State beats teams that USC beats, the cumulative properties, you can say, ipso facto, they beat USC type thing.
Yeah.
And then, so we talked about the 5 big ones last week. I was overly impressed by the slate last week. I thought it was a whole lot of fun. Just to go through them really quick. You and I tied 7 for 7.
Wow.
I am up 3-0 on our Cheesecake Factory. You had SDSU +9. Didn't hit that.
No, that was a ballsy pick.
3, so I'm winning 3-0 on that one.
Okay.
You and I both got Western Carolina. You got Western Carolina to cover against NC State.
Yep.
Both picked NDSU. You and I both picked Minnesota, which was a loss. You picked UNH. I picked UCF.
That was tough.
We both picked Stanford, and then we both picked Michigan State, who surprisingly enough looked really bad.
Yeah, really bad. Really bad. And I like their coach. Oh, it's a Jonathan.
I did too. I was very surprised. There was so little lack of offense. There's a little I don't know. I was very, very caught off guard by that.
They're in a scary territory right now because if they fall behind, the Big Ten's taking off right now, and they're going to leave them on the tarmac, Michigan State behind. Like, they could just fall into like a bad rut right now if they can't.
Oh, it's going to be so hard to recruit.
Yeah.
The Big Ten, like you said, is climbing. Like, I don't know many people who wouldn't pick Wisconsin over Michigan State. I don't know anyone who would pick, I'd pick Indiana over Michigan State right now. But that's another team that really, really up and coming. So we have 8 games on the slate that I wanted to talk about really, really briefly.
Yep.
One to mainly focus on, Johnny, and then the others we'll just pick. So this week, I feel like the key matchups are the following. Game day is at Ann Arbor, Texas, Michigan.
Yep.
We have Oklahoma State versus Arkansas, which is a weird out-of-conference week 2 game.
Yeah, it is.
We have Georgia Tech, Syracuse, and the only reason I'm bringing that one up is both Georgia Tech and Syracuse have kind of surprised us.
They're hot right now. They're both hot right now.
Yep. Kansas State versus Tulane, where Kansas State is an 8-point favorite. That one kind of seems like a trap game for some reason to me. Iowa State versus Iowa. Iowa's -2 on that one. Kansas versus Illinois. Without looking, guess what the odds are on that one? Guess what the line is?
Is it Kansas -6?
-4.5.
Ooh.
I thought it must be at Illinois. I thought Kansas would have been a 9-point favorite in that game. They've got some killer offense. We have Tennessee, North Carolina State, and then Colorado versus Nebraska.
Okay,
so to start, Johnny, gun to your head. Tell me what the score is for Texas, Michigan tomorrow.
I'm gonna say 31-21. 31-17.
How many points is home field advantage at Ann Arbor worth to you?
Texas. I'm saying Texas. I'm picking Texas.
Oh, of course.
How many points? In Ann Arbor, maybe a touchdown.
So you're saying if it was at a neutral site, it'd be 37-17 probably? 37.
Yeah, this scares me, this game, because I think Texas is a lot better, but I really think with like Will Johnson and both those D tackles, Michigan's defense is one of the best in the country. They're going to need to get like a defensive touchdown or something like that, or special teams touchdown.
Texas's defense is a lot better. When I saw that line come out, I was fully expecting -18 for Texas.
Yeah.
And I understand. I'm assuming that home field advantage actually gives them 4 to 5 points.
Yeah.
But I thought -7.5 is just insulting to Texas. I think it's a 17-point game. I think Texas looked really, really well put together. And then on the flip side, I thought Michigan looked like an absolute dumpster fire. They didn't even run the ball good. Their offense looked like a joke. They don't have any talent. They don't really have as much leadership.
They have nothing on the outside.
Genuinely kind of embarrassing.
No, what's the kid, Warren? He threw for like 118 yards and 87 yards was to the tight end. Like the lack of spreading the ball out. Like, I really liked how much Miller Moss for USC had 6 receivers over 45 yards. Like, he spread it out. And I think that
he also was throwing at like 83% completion.
No, like he was just so efficient. Whereas like Michigan was the opposite. Like, besides the tight end Loveland, they just couldn't really find anyone. And even like Donovan Edwards, so much heat about him like this offseason, just because like Blake Corum's gone. It's finally his offense. And the backup, I think, is like Khalil Mullings. He had like 95 yards, whereas Edwards had like 20. Like,
yeah, I'm assuming there was a little bit of pregame jitters there. That week 1 is always tough, but I don't think that Texas and Michigan are in the same ballpark this year. I think that Texas is a national contender while Michigan's barely a top 25 team. I wouldn't be surprised if this was a runaway train, if I had to be 100% honest. I see Michigan going 3 and out, 5 out of the first 7, while Texas can throw the ball right up and over their safeties. I don't see how Michigan can generate any kind of offense. I think they just go 3 and out religiously. I'm with you on that one. I'm going to take Texas -7.
Me too.
So then I know you got your short time here, so we're just going to go quickly through these ones. Oklahoma State versus Arkansas. And Arkansas is another team where Sam Pittman is obviously on the hot seat. Documented. But they looked really, really good. The run game was really, really developed. I know it was who they played, Western Kentucky or something along those lines. But I thought they looked really well put together. I'm still taking Oklahoma State. I think Oklahoma State is gunning for the Big 12 championship. Ollie Gordon is going to be my dark horse Heisman finalist. I'm going to take Oklahoma State -9.5 on that one.
Yeah, I was going to do this. I've got it written down. I'm doing the same. I projected Sam Pittman to be the first coach fired, but that's going to be Billy Napier now. So I kind of look like
the Billy Napier thing's interesting because, not only did he lost, he got smoked.
Yeah.
He had no integrity, no passion, no nothing. You and I mentioned to it. I saw an ESPN statistic that ranks the probability of winning each of your games at the point that you're in right now. And Florida is like averaging like 31% chance of winning. They very realistically could go 1-10 this year. Georgia Tech, Syracuse, very close. It's -2.5. I didn't write that one down for some reason. But I think Syracuse looked really good. I like the new coach. I think this is going to be a really good battle. But I'm a Kyle McCord fan. I actually liked him at Ohio State.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick Syracuse on that one.
I don't trust McCord, so I'm going Georgia Tech.
Still salty, huh?
Yeah, just didn't do it last year.
Kansas State, Tulane. We got Kansas State -8.5. Avery Johnson, definitely a Heisman candidate if they make it to the Big 12 championship with one loss or less. Big-bodied dual threat quarterback. I think that Kansas State has a really well put together team powered by the offensive line and defensive line. I don't think that this one's overly close. I think it might be close at half, but I think that K-State runs away with it.
Yeah, I don't think that one's going to be close in the end.
Then we got Iowa State, Iowa. Why don't you lead that one, Johnny? What do you got?
Iowa State, Iowa. Where is it? Do you know? Do you know if it's home or away for Iowa?
I thought it was home at Iowa.
Okay. Then I'm going to take Iowa. I just feel like Iowa State didn't impress me enough against North Dakota last week.
Nope.
21-3. I think they should have I think that should have been more right there. So I'm going to go with Iowa. I think Iowa's offense, I know it wasn't against a great team, but I thought they kind of found their rhythm. And I think,
Kirk Ferentz is back, isn't he, for this game?
Yeah, he's back, which is so funny. He just couldn't coach the first game. I think Iowa's taking this one home. I don't really trust Matt Campbell.
No, me neither. Too inconsistent. Then we have Kansas -4.5 versus Illinois. I know it's not Brett Bielema. Who is the coach for Illinois? It's another big fella.
I'll look it up right now. Illinois.
But regardless, I like Kansas.
No, I think it still is Bielema.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. Who do you like in this?
I like Kansas. I think 4.5 is insulting. I think that they're a really talented team. I think that they're going to spread the field. I could see it being a touchdown game at the first quarter. I see Kansas winning by 21+.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. You want to go Tennessee, NC State next? Yeah, I think Tennessee wins this, but it's 9.5. I'm going to take NC State to cover in this one.
Wow. How come, Johnny?
I really like Grayson McCall. I think NC State looked really bad last week.
Yeah. You think they were looking ahead?
Yeah, I think it was kind of a look ahead spot. I think Nico's great too. I also think he's young. I think maybe he throws a pick or two, keeps it close, keeps NC State in the game.
I think they keep the ball close to him. Very easy throws for the first quarter, and then they'll let him air it out for the second and third.
I think Tennessee's going to win. I just think NC State's going to cover.
Then we got Colorado versus Nebraska, big rivalry game. Last year, I think Colorado won by 12 points.
What's the line?
A whole different Nebraska team. Dylan Raiola threw for 2 touchdowns, almost 300 yards. Looks very, very well put together as a 18-year-old freshman.
Yeah, what's the line there? I'm trying to look.
-6 for Nebraska.
Do you know what? Wait, yeah. Let me see what it is.
I think it's -6, Johnny.
Nebraska versus Colorado. Why can't I find it? Do you have it? Oh, 6.5. Nebraska.
Yeah, I think that
I can't hear you anymore.
Year. I think Colorado has the same problems they had last year. Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback. I thought is it Shedeur or Shiloh that's quarterback?
Shedeur.
I think Shedeur is actually a really talented player. I was a little bit apprehensive about him. I thought he played really, really well against NDSU, which is a really tough NDSU team. But I think Dylan Raiola and Cornhuskers are a really solid team this year. I'm going to take -6. I think they win by 14+.
Oh, it's 6? Yeah, I think Nebraska's coming out with this one.
Yeah. I think it's a good one. This week's a little bit of a dull. We come back next week. We got a big Wisconsin-Alabama game. Alabama's another team that looked like they didn't even miss a stride. And then I think we start getting to conference play going into next week.
I know. Wait, did we make our upset picks for the Cheesecake Factory?
Oh, shoot. You're right.
I'm searching the board right now.
Really quick. Let's see here.
I'm a little nervous about Oregon, Boise State. I think Oregon's going to win, but I think Boise State's a really good football team.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. So to get the points, Johnny, they don't need to cover. Do they need to just cover? Or do they need to?
No, they got to win out. We said they got to win outright.
Okay. Let's see here.
Max Brosma revenge.
I'm actually going to take Michigan State as my upset team of the week. They are -8.5. We're going to round down to, they're +8.5. We're going to round down to +8 against Maryland. I think they're
okay. So wait, who is it? Michigan State against Maryland?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to take Central Michigan against Florida, FIT. I'm going to take FIT to win that one.
What's the spread?
-4.5.
+4.5.
Yeah. FIT. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. Awesome. Right. Sweet. Yeah. Like I said, I'm up 3 points on you. If I lose, you win. You'd be up 1 point after this week. And we'll be texting throughout the weekend.
Sweet. Yeah. Enjoy the games, everyone.
All right, Johnny. We'll see ya. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.